Hello, third, fourth, and fifth graders. Thank you for joining me for this third and last lesson about this topic, resilience. A few lessons ago, you might remember you were hearing that word for the very first time and maybe didn't know much about it. And now we've heard it a number of times, and maybe you're starting to notice it inside of yourself, know what it feels like, and practice some of the tools in our toolbox. And look how long it's going to be by the end of today. That's a great feeling, knowing that you have lots of tools that you can use. You might remember that resilience means being strong when things change, especially when things are hard, bouncing back and feeling yourself being strong again, even when things are hard. We always begin in all of the learning experiences I offer you, remembering that your body, mind, and your breath are three tools that you have with you every moment of every day. And many of the tools in the toolbox help utilize those three things. So let's begin by bringing those three things together with the chime practice. Maybe as we practice thinking, how am I today? Am I feeling strong? Do I notice resilience inside of myself, or maybe not so much today and I have to use one of my tools? So first, straighten your spine and find your steady mountain, which is one of our tools for strength in our toolbox. And we'll begin. First, we listen. We clear our mind. We steady our breath. And then we find our first slow, deep breath in and out. Good. It's like our first check-in breath. Then we bring our second breath in. We accept however we are, whatever feelings we might be bringing to our time together today. And third, we're kind to ourselves no matter what we find. Big breath in and a big breath out. And then we listen. Beautiful. Thank you for practicing with me if you did. Now, in our last lesson, we learned a little bit more about things that can make it hard to notice resilience in yourself. Last time I had the word stress up on my board, and we learned that that was a tense feeling in your body. And some of our tools in our toolbox were meant to reduce or bring stress down with healthy practices and foods and different kinds of movements that we can do. Today we're going to talk about a serious topic, something that can happen and does happen to lots of people when they have changes. And the subject is loss and grief. Loss and grief is when something changes, whether that's with the people that we know and love, or the circumstances or the things that we do each and every day. When those things change and we might lose them and not get them back for a long time or never get them back. Grief is a word that describes all the thoughts and all the feelings that people naturally have when someone or something that they love has been lost. During this COVID-19 time, lots and lots of people all over the world have been experiencing loss and feelings and thoughts of grief that are very natural and normal because of that. Can you think of some of the things that have changed or been lost during COVID-19? Let's reflect on that for a minute. If we were in a classroom in person and I asked you to share, I'm sure I would see lots of kids raising their hands. And as I called on them, they might say, I don't get to do the things that I like to do anymore, like some sports and activities I really enjoy. They might say they miss people in their family that they can't see. I know I'm missing my grandchildren terribly, and I'm not able to see them. They might think about people that they know and love who have gotten sick or even died. And we should honor that sometimes is part of loss. When people or pets or things leave us and they cannot return. There are many, many things that we might be thinking about together. Let's take a breath in and just honor all those different losses that many of us might have been feeling. And I'm going to ring my chime just in honor of all the different things that you're thinking, all the different things that I have named. They're all very important. Now you'll notice that I have all my feeling pictures out again in this lesson. And that's because a lot of grieving or grief, as I've been mentioning, has to do with feelings. Feelings really help us in so many ways. They're a big part of being a person. And especially when we lose something or something that we care about or love, our feelings help us get through it. They help us notice what has been lost and honor what has been lost, and they lead us to do things that will help us feel better. You'll notice all the 5 feelings I talked about last time I have out, and there's many, many more, but most feelings all come back to one of these. Most people think about sadness as a first feeling when they think about losing someone or something, and when they hear the word grief, which, remember, are all the thoughts and feelings a person can have. And sadness is definitely one of them. Of course, we would be sad when we lose something or miss something or someone. That is so normal and natural. So let's just honor that sadness is part of loss and grief. And then sometimes people are angry when they lose something or something. Who wouldn't be? It's so natural. We never want to lose people and things that we love. So let's just honor that anger is part of loss and grief. Another feeling is surprise. Sometimes we lose people and things and we didn't expect it at all. And even if we did expect it, it still just feels like a shock or like, wow, I didn't think that was going to happen. So let's honor the fact that loss and grief is often a surprise. Then we might be scared and afraid, and boy, that's natural. When things change and we've lost things, we might be wondering what's going to happen next. We might be afraid of something else happening. Let's honor those feelings as well. Scared, afraid, or anxious. And then you might be surprised to see that I left the feeling happy up there, because it is possible to feel happy even when we are experiencing loss and grief. And it is possible to feel happy again after a time of not feeling it. And many people experience that it takes them a while to feel happiness again. But it is still there. It is still an important feeling. So let's honor happiness. And I'll ring my chime one more time in honor of all the feelings. Now, when we are having so many feelings, when we have lost someone or something, what does it have to do with resilience? You might remember in the very first lesson, I taught you that everyone is able to experience, to have resilience inside of them. Every single person can be strong in the face of change. You might be thinking, well, I don't feel very strong right now. And when you lose something, usually it's not a strong feeling at first. But inside of you, there is a resilience that you can learn to notice and that you can practice by using your toolbox. Your toolbox can help you remember resilience, that you actually are strong. You'll remember we talked about people being part of our toolbox. Everybody needs people to help remind them of their resilience, to help listen to their feelings, comfort them, give them affection when they need it. So think about who you have in your life that can help you with your resilience. And then I put pets up here. Do you have a pet that brings you great comfort when you're feeling sad or if you're missing someone or something that you love? I hope so. I hope whoever you have brings you great comfort. And then we learned the mountain and the anchor practices in our first lesson. That mountain, that is a reminder of our strength inside. And then the anchor helps us remember when things are changing, we can still be steady. Let's take a breath in and a breath out and remember our mountain and our anchor. Good. And then last time we learned the breath of happiness. Do you remember? Right? And the calming circles. These two things can be reminders of our resilience. And then the last list of things I have are especially helpful when you're experiencing loss and grief. Let's go through them quickly, and then maybe after this lesson is over, you might want to try one or two of them if you're noticing a sadness or an anger or an anxiety about loss and grief. So the first one says drawing and coloring. I'm going to be sending your parents by email some pictures that you might want to use. Coloring is very comforting. Here's a picture of some hearts, and here's another one that I'll be sending you. And sometimes just getting your favorite colors, maybe putting on some music, and having some quiet time to color is a calming activity. I also wrote drawing down. Maybe you're a kid that likes to draw rather than color. You could make a book about whatever you've lost or whoever you've lost and do the illustrations, or just draw, free draw, and that can help you feel better. I wrote down journaling. If you're a kid that likes to draw or write, sometimes that can help. Remembering. When we've lost something, someone or something, it can really be wonderful to remember that person or that thing. I know I enjoy thinking about my grandmother, who is no longer with me, and I remember happy things about her. Sometimes I remember sad things that happened while I was with her. And these things, even though they're not always easy, make my heart feel full of love for her, and that can be a comfort. So that's a practice you might want to try. And then the last two are music and physical activity. So of course, anytime you have music that you like, that can be really special, or music that you shared with someone that you loved. And then physical activity, you'll remember, was one of the things we talked about in our last lesson, that keeping your body healthy and moving can be a big help to people who might be experiencing loss and grief, the feelings and thoughts that come when we lose someone or something. So look how big our toolbox has gotten. Isn't it incredible and exciting to be a person and know that we have lots of practices that we can do to help us be strong during a change? We all need to be thinking about resilience right now, because the coronavirus is still with us and still asking us to change. It's still creating losses. It's still sometimes making us feel tense and stressed. So we want to be strong. We want to find our resilience inside. And now we have lots of tools in our toolbox that we can practice. So I wish you the best wishes I have for all of your practices and finding your resilience. And if you know me and you need to reach out to me, I can be a person in your life that can help you remember your resilience if you are a student at the Woodside School. So, best wishes with all your practices of resilience.